Alright guys, so before we get into the really fun Node.js stuff, I want to explain one more concept that seems to confuse a lot of people, and that is the idea of prototyping. Now, you guys are going to come across this a lot in Node.js, so I figured I might as well take a tutorial and explain the pretty much the bare bones basics of what prototyping is. So essentially, what prototyping gives you the ability to do is you can add cool methods or properties to your objects and classes. So say that we're making a game, and the first thing we need in the game is a couple users. So I don't know, what's every user have? We'll say like a name and a life. We'll say that they can like fight each other, whatever. So this name, we'll just set it equal to blank by default. And again, remember that this keyword refers to whatever object is calling it, whatever thing is calling this. So now we can actually have a bunch of different instances of user. Each one can have their own name. So we can have a Bucky, a Wendy, a Tuna McGee, a bunch of different users. So yeah, there you go, simple enough. And we'll just give them each a life to start out of, I don't know, like 100 points or 100 life or whatever. So by default, we thought it was a good idea if users could give each other life. I don't know, maybe they're hurt or something. So we'll say that this give life equals a new function called give life, and of course you would need a target player. So for example, if my friend Wendy was hurt, I could give her a life, and I don't know, if she had like 10 life, now she would have 11. If she had 17, she would have 18, whatever. So how do we do that? Pretty easy. Target player life plus equal 1. And might as well just print something out. Console log. I'll say like after I give a life to Wendy, I'll say Bucky gave 1 life to Wendy. So of course this name, which would be whatever called this function, which would be in this case Bucky, gave 1 life to, not game 1 life, gave 1 life to target player dot name. Alright, so whenever I give a life to Wendy, it's going to say Bucky, since I called give life, gave 1 life to the target player, and of course it would increase her life by 1. Nothing that revolutionary right there. So now that we got our basic user class out of the way, let's actually go ahead and start making some users. So Bucky equals new user, and var Wendy equals new user. Alright, we have 2 users, but remember, whenever we create a new user, they don't have any name. They have a default life of 100, but their name is blank. So let's set their name right now, and that is Bucky dot name set equal to Bucky, and Wendy dot name set this equal to Wendy. Alright, so now we have 2 users and they both have names. Let me tighten that up a tidbit and check it out. So we start playing the game or whatever, and I decide right off the bat that I want to give a life to Wendy. Might as well, she's my friend, nothing else to do in this game. So Bucky dot give life to Wendy. Alright, looking pretty cool. And just to verify, you know, just to look at our different lives, right after, what I'm going to do is I'm going to print out our life. So we'll say that like Bucky I'll print out my life and then hers. Wendy and Wendy life. Alright, so we start playing and check it out. Right off the bat, I give 1 life to Wendy. My life is still 100, and her life is 101. Easy enough, simple enough to understand. What the heck is a prototype? Still don't quite get that concept. So I give this game to my boss, who wants the greatest game ever, and he's like, you know what, Bucky? This is a pretty cool game. However, wouldn't it be cool if instead of just giving life to your friends, because that's kind of boring, wouldn't it be cool if users could actually start hurting each other? Because hurting people is always fun, right? So I'm like, you know what? That would be kind of cool. So I'm going to make a new function called uppercut. And whenever you uppercut someone, it takes 3 points away from them. So what you can do through prototypes is this. If you call user prototype right there, you can actually put something called uppercut. Of course, I'm making uppercut up. You can put whatever variable name you want. And you can set this equal to a new uppercut function. So now target player is gonna pretty much work the same. So actually, let me just copy all this. Alright. So instead of giving one to them, let's take away how many. Uppercutting someone, I think, takes away 3 lives of them. And then we'll say gave 1 life to, we'll change that to just uppercutted. Alright. So what we can do is we can pretty much use prototypes to add additional methods or functions onto this user object or this user class. So now every instance of this user class has access to this new cool uppercut function. Don't believe me? Well, check this out. I gave a life to Wendy before. She, for some reason, hates when I give life to her. Maybe she just hates me. I don't know. So she decides to uppercut me. So Wendy dot uppercut Bucky. Alright, that was very cool. Now let's just print out their lives again. So check this out. I'm going to run this bad boy. I gave 1 life to Wendy. She got ticked off for some reason. She uppercutted me. It took 3 points away from me, and she still has the life I gave her. So, you know, she's kind of a little turd nugget, but whatever. So again, that's one concept of prototyping. What we can do is we can add special methods or properties to objects in classes, in other words, our user class. So this was an example of adding a function. And by the way, if I ever say method or function, they're pretty much the same thing in this tutorial, although they technically are different. I know, so don't, you know, leave 1,000 comments. Alright, so I give this to my boss and he's like, this is awesome, I love hurting people. Uppercutting is always, you know, humorous. However, I think we got to spice this game up a little bit more. We actually want to add magic to every user. So in addition to adding functions, like I said, you can also take that user class, and through prototyping you can call, if I type, got the hiccups now, great, you can add a new property called magic, and we'll set every user's magic to like 60 by default. So now let me just console.log this out. Bucky.magic. This is going to log out 60 for every user. I just want to demonstrate that. And console log Wendy.magic. So let me add a comment real quick. I'll say can add properties to all objects, and I'll also say you can add functions. Alright, so let me print this out just to show you guys what it works. Alright, so this was before, and now we see whenever we print out Bucky's magic and Wendy's magic, they both have 60. So there you go. That is pretty much what prototyping is. Now the last thing you may be wondering is this. Alright, so I know that with prototyping, what you can do is you can add functions and properties to objects. But why the heck would you do it this way when you can just build everything right inside here? It seems like it would be a much better option. Doesn't really make sense right now. However, in the future, that's what I'm going to explain, because this tutorial is already 10 minutes long, and I'm worried about Wendy uppercutting me again. So anyways, for now that you understand the basics of it, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, yada yada, tomato tomato. See you next time.